Welcome back to another episode of Good Teams Win Great Teams Cover. We're back, and I'm back after a little absence for our Week 13 review episode. Thanksgiving weekend has been and gone, so the season has started, so they say. Plenty for us to talk through, as always. What was a full slate in the NFL, 16 games, so it'll be a bumper review episode. If they're not bumper already. We'll be talking through 4 or 5 of the games in a bit of detail, going through our fourfold challenge. One of us is still alive. One of us fell just short. Going through our ATS picks, and also just checking in on the winning fantasy game day lineup from the Sunday Stars game, and a spoiler that it wasn't us. Byron, Joe, first of all, did you enjoy your Thanksgiving? I know, Byron, you're there in America, so you've already had your Canadian Thanksgiving. But how was your Thanksgiving? Joe's played the Chiefs. He's still on his holiday weekend. I don't think we're licensed for the music.
Outstanding, yeah. Not sure what's going on there, but yeah, it was. I mean, almost feel like I'm drowning in football. To be fair, by the end of Sunday night, because it's like island game, red zone, island game. But yeah, a lot of good football being played. Yeah, Thanksgiving was all right, you know. It's all right. It's not my favorite holiday. It's not Christmas. Don't know if we'll do a holidays draft at some point, so I don't want to tip my hand too much. But
1-1.
Yeah, 1-1's probably Christmas, you know, the big dog.
1-1 Flag Day.
Ooh, good show. Love Flag Day. Speaking of which, Ohio State planning the Flag Day. No, a good weekend of football though. Yeah. How was your Thanksgiving? I think your meal looked better than mine, truthfully.
Yeah, real good. Did the giant turkey leg, low and slow. It's a particular favourite of mine. And all the trimmings. I say all the trimmings, just some trimmings.
What trimmings did you have?
Mac and cheese.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like that's a thing now. Mac and cheese on the side. I heard you two talking about it as well on the preview. But I'd already decided to do it before I listened back to the you two talking about it. What do you got? Yeah, just roasties, mash, carrots, parsnips, green beans.
Roasties and mash.
Yeah, roasties and mash, yeah.
2 spuds, classic. I love it.
Yeah, 2 spuds and the pasta.
Yeah.
Carbo loading.
You didn't have any dinner rolls, right?
Yeah, no, we couldn't go for bread as well. But then for the Black Friday game, I had the leftover turkey brie and cranberry toasties with the leftover gravy as a dipping. Absolutely sensational.
Very good.
I feel like you mentioned that on the Christmas podcast last year.
Yeah, it's just so. Yeah, I will do that Christmas with leftover Christmas turkey as well, but just the extra opportunity to do it. They're ace. Not Breville done though. I think they work a little bit better when they're Breville toasty maker done. This was just like grill it in the pan sort of thing. Still great.
Other toasty pans are available.
The toasty pans are available, but I'm a Breville
guy. Might not be, in fact.
So yeah, real good. And
I did toy with the idea of making a festive bake for myself. I've got some pastry in for when Cindy's away. It's kind of wild stuff I get to is making pasties. Yeah, get the pastry. I love it. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do some classic cheese and onion because I ate my Thanksgiving leftovers already. And I figured they might not last through Monday, like quality-wise. But it did cross my mind.
Oh, nice. Cool. Enjoy your cheese and onion pasties. I'm sure they'll be fantastic. Joe, you had your Canadian Thanksgiving earlier on. Is it October, Canadian Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's sometime in October. But, I celebrate. It's normally around my birthday, the US Thanksgiving, so I always take it off, take my one-day birthday day off. So yeah, took it off, had a full day of football, and yeah, Meg made an awesome brisket and we had like sliders and stuff like that to watch the game with plenty of pretzels and all that fun.
Awesome. Sounds good. Great choice. Good stuff. Well, that's where we're going to start anyway, is with one of the Thanksgiving games. And with great reason. It was the first game of the day, Lions-Bears, 23-20 to the Lions. But I think we have to start with, obviously, Bears coach Matt Eberflus was then fired subsequently the day after he was trotted out to do his scheduled press conference, which the way the Bears run this team, like I say the Bears, the way the McCaskies like run this team to, I know Eberflus fully deserved to be fired. It's 6 losses in a row. They've invented new ways to lose football games almost every week.
Yeah.
And fully expected him to be fired, but to trot him out and make him go do his press conference, well, the only question he got asked was, are you getting fired today?
Yeah.
And variations of, to then be fired an hour later is unbelievable. But yeah, what do you think? What are your thoughts to Matt Eberflus being fired?
Yeah, well, I thought it was really funny that they like they were like, well, we didn't want to. I mean, I don't think they came out and said things like insiders, like we didn't want to have him cancel a press conference and people would know something was up. And it's like, you fucking fired him 2 hours later. Like, what difference would it have made if people thought something was up? Like, you didn't want him coming into the meeting knowing he was fired. Like, I think he knew he was getting fired. He was getting called into a meeting on Black fucking Friday. Like, yeah, just very old-fashioned, weird way to run a franchise. I think we should redub him as well. He's not Matt Eberflus, he's Matt Eberflus. Because that's all he does. And like you say, finding new ways to do it is almost impressive in his own way. I did see, Joe, you might have posted this stat. I know we posted a couple in the chat over the week, but of coaches who've had like 20 or more one-score losses in the NFL, I think there's like 221, and he's ranked 221 of them. It is perplexing, I guess, how you could be so bad at it. But yeah, it sounds like he'd completely lost the locker room by the end of this game. The clock management, obviously, has kind of dissipated a little bit now that he's been fired, but that's some of the worst coaching I've ever seen. Like, that's stuff that, like, if you played Madden, you'd know better than that. And I think Caleb Williams should take a little responsibility for it, a little. Like, I don't think it should be 100% Eberflus. It should be like 75-25 maybe. But ultimately, Williams is a rookie playing on the road in a tough game, trying to get shit in order. Matt Eberflus is stood on the sideline just watching him fail. And it's like, bro, like, maybe help out here a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, for the Bears to fire a coach in season for the first time ever is telling. I don't think the locker room would let him go back in, from what I've heard. Jalen Johnson apparently was unamused, to say at the very least, and Eberflus had to give like a truncated after-game speech to the players and then just left. And it was like, I think he knew then he probably wasn't going to do the net press conference tomorrow. He was wrong on that, but he was right about he was losing his job. Yeah, so interesting to see where the Bears go. Ryan Poles is going to still be in charge. So it's weird. You've kind of got that weird timeline of GM, head coach, quarterback, all on different starting points and at different points in their contracts. I'm not sure Ryan Poles has done enough really to keep his job either, but the Bears are a pretty conservative organization, so they're not going to rock the boat too much. I am interested to see what kind of coach they go for. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go for Mike Vrabel, I think. I think the offensive genius sounds really good to like 30 franchises probably. But I just think the Bears probably want like a strong man, you know, of Vrabel. I mean, if they could get Belichick, I think they'd rip your hand off. I don't think Belichick's going to Chicago, though. But yeah, I think Vrabel might be an interesting candidate there, just like a leader of men type.
Well, I don't know if you've heard the rumours that told Cliff Kingsbury is one of the favourites to get, just because, and I think that would be a shocking move. But it feels like it moves this Bears organisation could make, and then we're here. I'm not surprised. I think I said it last summer. He should have been fired. I know the end of the year, the defense, and that's the whole reason he kept his job. But defense is so up and down, and if he hasn't proved himself the previous year, or shown to be a good head coach rather than just a good defensive coach, then you just got to get rid. It just didn't make sense keeping him with Caleb Williams. It's one of them weird things. Why get a rookie? Why bring in a rookie quarterback when you got a head coach who's probably going to last 1 or 2 more years? It just felt like, they should have started again. And see where they go. Like, realistically, the best decision is just go Ben Johnson. Just say, we'll give you as much money and many years as you want. We'll take from the NFC North, try and do what you did here. But I can't see the Bears doing that. So we'll see where they go. And curious that they've obviously got Thomas Brown as the interim, so who's just who just recently became the offensive coordinator. I'm curious if it's going to go like the Jets way, where that side of the boss is started playing well. So you bring in bring him in as the interim, and then that goes to shit because he's having to do multiple jobs. So, but we'll see. He was the assistant coach to Sean McVay, and I know he was. I think a few years ago there was people looking at him. So we'll see what he can do for the Bears.
Yeah, just keeps getting promoted almost like every couple of weeks. Just keeps getting promoted. He's going to be the owner in the next couple of by the end of the season at this rate.
Bears fans might sign off on
that. Absolutely. The game itself, like I say, obviously the ending is what we're all going to remember from this game. But we shouldn't be lost that the Bears were facing getting absolutely blown out by the Lions. They managed to stop the bleeding just before halftime. And then they were brilliant in the second half, the Bears. The defense played a lot better. They shut down the Lions almost completely. And Caleb had a fantastic second half. Himself to drag his team back into the game and drag the Bears back into the game. Just the lunacy of the clock management again from the end of the game. It was difficult. They had to go 99, not 99 yards, they're 3 down with it, but they started with the ball at the 1, backed up in their own end zone, but all the way through, just big play after big play after big play from Caleb. And just craziness to go.
I do understand why he did it. If they actually, actually produce what they're meant to do, that if he was going to take a timeout, he had to do it straight away as soon as that happened, because it was 3rd down. You've got to do it, because once he gets down to 10 seconds, then you're in no position whatsoever. You're going to have to go for the touchdown, because they would have been on 3rd down. So if they threw it short the sticks.
But even with 12 seconds, take time out just for 2 fucking Hail Marys.
No, yeah, I get that. But it feels like he was expecting Caleb to actually do it. And that's why I agree with you, where Caleb should have known as well, just to let's snap it, let's try and get this play. Let's not try and read the defense. That's not the position where you try and read the defense and you switch players and stuff like that. You just go with the play what's set. And then obviously he's going to learn that being a rookie and whatnot. But it's
it was just all a bit disjointed. The players were so slow to get, the receivers were so slow to get back to the line of scrimmage. Once you could see they were taking too long to get set up, that should have been the moment.
Yeah,
take the time, because at that point you'd have been somewhere 18, 20 seconds. So you'd still have had a play to the sideline. Obviously, limited your options, but you still had a play to the sideline to get another chunk to get a short field goal. Caleb does have to take some of it, but it's crazy just how Eberflus is just stood there on the sideline. All he has to do is put his hands together and you stop that problem. It was as easy as that.
Even if it does just end up being 2 Hail Marys, well, I mean, what the fuck did they run anyway? What was that play? Rome Odunze just hoping for PI? That's not a play. Baffling.
Yeah. Bears 4-8, Lions 11-1. Head to a big Thursday night football game against the Packers. Quick one. The Lions defensively, they are dropping like flies. I don't
know if you've seen that, the Lions starting defensive roster, the starting lineup, and it's just lines just crossed everywhere. I think it's on the defensive tackles where they've still got the starting players. It's decimated. They're a weird team where I think they can keep going on, but you hope some of these players return once he gets to the playoffs.
Is there a risk here that they don't end up winning the division, because obviously the Vikings are out on the heels and they play the Packers this week? If the Packers can beat the Lions, they blow the division wide open. It's a 3-way fight.
There's definitely a risk. You've got the Packers, Vikings, and Bills to come. Obviously, we've got the Bears as well, and the 49ers. Those two seem like softer games than you would have thought 6 weeks ago, obviously. But yeah, Packers and Vikings and Bills are 3 really tough games. And that injury report needs to clear up for Lions. Dan Campbell speaks of no excuses, next man up. But that works in the locker room, but that doesn't work on the field. Ultimately, defensive end 7 is not as good as Aiden Hutchinson. That's not a debate. That's just a fact, And the thinner you get, the less you can rotate quality players in and out. it may well cost them. Hopefully they get back fully fit before the playoffs, and if it means they don't win the division, that's the way it is sometimes. Dan Campbell won't let that be an issue in his locker room. He demands total accountability, but yeah, ultimately it can come to bite you. So yeah, Packers tough game. I think considering the defensive weaknesses, I think this will be another big Montgomery Gibbs game of run that ball down the throat, manage the clock, try and put a point that way, take it out of Goff's hands a little to a degree, not against Jared Goff, just on preserving the clock and trying to manage the game that way, I think.
Speaking of accountability and not affecting the locker room, that might affect the Lions moving forward. Obviously, a big strength of theirs is the O-line. Jahmyr Gibbs accidentally revealed the language that they use to set their protections in a misguided TikTok, and somebody dobbed him into Dan Campbell in a press conference about it.
Did you hear Campbell's comments today?
No.
Because yesterday he said, I didn't know about that, I'll have to look into it. So his comments today, Dan Campbell on Jahmyr Gibbs posting that photo. He posted a video and he got stitched up, like you say. I don't really give a crap. If we're going to lose because of code words, then we're not good enough. I think we'll just post a whole freaking playbook and every code word we've got. It doesn't matter. It won't hurt us. I effing love Dan Campbell.
Fair enough.
He does not give one solitary.
Fair enough. Yes. Bad judgment from Jahmyr Gibbs, I think.
Definitely, yeah. I think you've just got to be smarter. It probably won't impact them. Everything will have been changed since then anyway, because, you have to, because Jahmyr Gibbs is your 6+ all yes, wording cadences to the world. But
maybe that's the thing. Maybe that can be the thing. Everyone thinks we're going to have to change everything, and we change nothing.
Or that was a deep fake, and those words don't mean anything in the first place.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, Lions move on to Thursday night, as we mentioned. Bears have got the Niners next week. I think we mentioned. Yeah, Bears have the Niners. Interim coach bump, Joe.
Doesn't really matter anyway, does it?
Okay, moving on. We'll head into Sunday then. Steelers Bengals. Steelers won 44-38 for the most points ever in a Bengals Steelers game. Almost 900 yards of offense in this one. And the Steelers showed me a little bit something. We know they can win drag-out defensive games. We know they can win without scoring touchdowns. And they showed us they can win a shootout.
Yeah, against the best defensive team in the NFL. Maybe. The Bengals are absolutely, they just rack up points every week, but can't win a game to save their lives. I've seen this, got the stat yesterday of the Bengals average more points in losses than the Chiefs do in wins, and in their entire season they're 11-1, and Cincy are 4-8. It is wild, but yeah, I mean, the Steelers are on my short list of teams that can win the Super Bowl, and this really helps. You'd rather they didn't give up 38 points, obviously, but Russell Wilson 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, an incredibly early interception where you do wonder, the wheel's going to come off. The Steelers going to have to play from behind, and it's like, well, not for long. Straight back to it with Pickens. Just a really, really fun game. The highest scoring game in this series in history. I think this is the 110th game, was it? 100 and something like that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they played over 100 times. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a wild, wild game. Very, very fun, obviously. And yeah, I think like the Bears, 49ers we'll get to, Bengals, just like teams that probably should be better than they are on paper, who just, the season's done. Like the Bengals that's it. Very fun, but that's kind of all it's been for them this year. Yeah,
Bengals are dead. It's 4-8, dead. They needed this one. They had to have this one. To get to 5-7. I know we've said that a lot, but 5-7, and then heading to Dallas a week on Monday. You think, maybe they'll get to back to 7-7, but no, they're dead. Time to finally give up on the 2024 Cincinnati Bengals, and some of us have been holding on a little bit longer than others.
Yeah, I think it's done now, like you said. Like, even if they win the rest of the games, they're going to be 9-8.
Yeah, it's done.
I don't think that's even good enough to get in there. And I've said this every week, I think, the last few weeks, is they've only just beat bad teams. So, I I don't see him beating the Cowboys. Again, they've only beat the Panthers, Giants, Browns, Raiders, and they've lost every other game. I think obviously Lou and Anamumo might be gone from going to someone who could have got a head coaching position 2-3 years ago. I think you probably have to get rid of him now just because how bad it was. They just didn't stop them whatsoever. It just like the Steelers were just going chunk play after chunk play after chunk play. It's crazy. Like I think there was that crazy. They've seen this stat where it's like 8 of the longest plays. There's 8 players with 20 or more yards. So obviously they're hitting these massive plays. And the Steelers are not known for that. So for the Steelers to put 44 points, Russ looking like MVP. Russ, it's it's a good day for the Steelers. And I know Joey Burrow has been playing really well this year, but he's also had his hand in 3 of the turnovers today. So 1 interception, 2 fumbles, which is massive. And, they just can't win against average to good teams. And, they deserve this record of 4-8. And they might be the best 4-8 team that's ever been, but that defense is not.
Yeah, this 4-8 team has the quarterback with the most passing yards, quarterback with the most passing touchdowns, the receiver with the most receiving touchdowns, and the defensive player with the most sacks. And they're 4-8.
Well, Jamar Chase was asked after the game, do you feel like you have to score every drive? And he's like, yeah, that's our expectation every game. Doesn't put faith in the DC, does it? And it's the same. We've been saying this since week 1 when they got housed by the Patriots. They cannot tackle. Like, that isn't going away this season. Like, it's week 13 we've just watched. Like, if they haven't sorted it between week 1 and week 13, it's not getting sorted now. What a waste of a season. Because Joe Burrow's played so well. Jamar Chase, like I said, best receiver in football this year. And for what? Chase Brown's really breaking out as well. Mm-hmm. Since Zach Moss went down, Chase Brown's been one of the best running backs in football. And it's just like, so what? Like, just a total waste. Like, this is what I think people used to say about like West Coast teams, like they're just soft. They can throw the ball, but they've got nothing there. And this is what the Bengals are. They're not a West Coast team, but they're just soft. Yeah. But the Steelers certainly aren't.
Steelers certainly not. Over to the Steelers. Steelers 9-3. Kind of the way things went this weekend, they really do have kind of pole position in there to win that division now. And Mike Tomlin has secured yet another season above 500. He's done
19.
It. I think it's 18, isn't it? Is it 18? Yeah. He's done it again. And
this might be one of his most impressive.
Yeah, I think so. And he's done it against an underdog. And you two on the ATS backed against him again. I'm like, obviously, I love you both. You fucking idiots at this point. It's ridiculous. What are you doing? What are you doing?
If you listen to the podcast, me and Byron predicted this this onslaught, this attack. This attack. And to be honest, we both said we don't know why we picked the Bengals. It just felt like surely it can't happen again. And there was a few of them this week, and sometimes you sit there and think, what was I doing? And this is one of them moments.
But like, as much as the Tomlin as an underdog thing, there is also the Bengals have got to get it right sometime. Yeah. Just one of them's true and one of them isn't.
But which of the two do you trust in more?
The Bengals have got to get it right sometime.
Well, yeah, insane.
But again, one of them isn't true. So, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 13 weeks out of 13, shame on me.
But yeah, Steelers rolling. Sorry, my abuse is just sorry. Steelers rolling, looking good. And everything was working for them. Russ went back to his Seahawk days. Yeah, threw for 400 yards for the first time in forever. They had it on the ground. Najee Harris was running mean and nasty. George Pickens was doing it up to his usual antics. He's loving it. Frymouth had a big game. Yeah, it was just, fantastic. And then the Steelers defense also caused havoc, as you mentioned, Joe. So, all worked together. And, I think I was a little bit worried with the Steelers after I know there's kind of the asterisks of kind of just that crazy snow game against the Browns, but I was a bit worried with them just losing again to another 2-win team. It's happened a lot the last few years. And then, bang, they come and do this. I'm like, actually, a lot of the concerns I had are gone. You've shown me a different way you can win a football game. And team's going to go to the Steelers in the playoffs. Likely, I think, 'cause I just can't see how they don't win this division now, but it's still a long way to go. And you know what? When we get to the postseason, have them down as a plus number again. Do it. Have them as...
They keep putting them with a plus number in the playoffs and they keep losing in the first round.
I mean, a lot of that time they've been on the road, to be fair, haven't they? In a while.
Yeah, I'll give you that, yeah.
And also the Steelers do go Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs at some point. So
so they've got Browns next, then Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and Bengals. Will there be underdogs at home against the Bengals in week 18? Probably not.
And that's when you put money on the Bengals because they'll be playing a 4-win team where Tomlin can them kind of games. But obviously the Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, if you come out 2-1, then obviously if you beat the Ravens, you probably got that division. So it makes it interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Great game. It did not disappoint. I think we were 4 for 5 on our bets for this one. This was one of the Sky games. So I hit the Steelers plus 2.5, of course. Byron, you had the over 47.5, which I think cashed by halftime. I'm pretty sure.
Be far off if it did.
I think it was 28-21 at halftime. So, I think that was right. Mm-hmm. And then you also had George Pickens anytime touchdown score at plus 130. And Joe, you had Burrow 3 or more passing touchdowns at plus 260.
And my other bet was within 6 points.
Within 6. It was 6. Yeah. It was 6. A push. You put that in red on the sheet. You just have to have that as a push.
Well, I didn't win any money on the bet 365, so that's kind of a loss.
Travesty. Moving on to the next game we're going to talk about. It was difficult to choose the games this week. So there's a couple of real close ones, but this one was, again, I think just an interesting one to talk about. And a team we don't talk about in too much detail usually, but the Chargers went on the road to Atlanta and beat the Falcons, and Kirk Cousins had an absolute meltdown. 4 interceptions, one of them returned for a touchdown. It was a mess from the Falcons. And they are banging. We've been saying it for weeks. The Bucs are just kind of there on the shoulder in the background, even though the Falcons have beat them twice. Well, the Bucs are there now. They're no longer on the shoulder. This was horrendous from the Falcons. Yet for the first time all year, they'd found a pass rush, and they were getting to Herbert for fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it was horrendous for the Falcons in general. It was just horrendous for Kirk Cousins because I think they dominated this game. When you actually look at some of the stats, it was crazy. Like the time possession, how I think the Chargers only had 170 yards total, and they got to the red zone plenty of times. It's just Kirk just lost his head. I think a few over and over again. Foyds. One of them where he just ran and just lofted it, and the defender was like, "Oh shit! Has he just put that for anyone else to grab?" It was. Yeah, he's looking like. I felt when you look at his last few games, he's had a bit of a stinker. He went them 2 games against Tampa and Dallas with 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and the last 3 games he's got no touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Yeah, and I think that says a lot. It looks like he's when he's the Tampa games, he thought, he must have got over his injury, but the last few games, it feels like he's struggling. He's gassed a little bit. He seems like he could do with a week off. Just to recover, and I don't know if that would help him, but obviously being in the tie week, so it's not looking good. But the defense actually looked decent, and they actually set up the Falcons to win. Bijan played well, just Kirk just lost his head and cost them this game, to be honest, because they should have won that game. It was like a Chargers game. They charged against the Chargers.
They charged against the Chargers. There was as well, I think.
They charged against the Charbars. This is the
Charbars. It's not
the Chargers don't exist anymore.
They're pretty good linguistically to be on good teams when great teams cover. Yeah. As well, I think probably because of the meltdown from Kirk, what kind of went under the radar a little bit was Younghoe Koo again missing a very simple kick, and with the way that game is and how close it is, it's a massive difference. Yeah, it's only 3 points and they lost by 4, but it certainly impacts what you have to do later in the game. And defensively, I thought they played really well, and then just the throws, the pick 6. I think I don't know if the pick 6 or the flip into the end zone's the worst one, because the one where he just telegraphed where he threw it into 3 Chargers players, it was insane. But Chargers really did struggle offensively, really, really did. I think Dobbins being out and not being able to move the ball on the ground was a real struggle, and just not being able to protect Herbert. Was you think that was an off day for the Chargers O-line, or is that a problem for them moving forward?
I think it's a problem because they did against the Ravens too. So, I think everyone was like, "Oh, the Ravens are looking good again," when they play the Chargers. That's 2 weeks in a row where the inside of that line's not been great, but the tackles are now have started to decline a little bit, not playing as good. So I think massive. Yeah, and I think Lad McConkey went out injured, and he was huge. So he had 9 receptions, 117 yards. The next player was Quinlan Johnson with 2 receptions, 12 yards, and he had another bad drop and just can't put it together. I think it's a worry because he went out with a knee and they're not sure what the timetable is. So I think that's huge for this Chargers team when they need to pick probably another 2 wins, and you're missing your best running back, possibly your best wide receiver, and your offensive line started to crumble. But they've got a defense what keeps them in these kind of games, and sneaks these games where they shouldn't win, but they have won to take to 8-4, which I think is massive. If the Chargers were 6-6, 7-5, they'd be like, yeah, fair enough. It's who they are, so they've done well.
Yeah, absolutely. Chargers are on Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs, which is I think is a real interesting one this week because I know they're struggling, but I think they've got a real good chance of beating the Chiefs, even with all the problems they've got.
It'd be a good matchup. I wouldn't say. And if McConkey doesn't play, I really don't see them winning. I must say. And although Quentin Johnson's had these magic games when we don't expect them, but be asking a lot. I think like Will Disley, Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnson to step up with something we've not seen again, especially about J.K. Dobbins, because between Vidal, Gus Edwards, and Hassan Haskins, I don't think you've got one running back between the 3 of them. And I didn't want to write off Vidal so soon, but he doesn't look up to scratch, essentially. So
he's not going in our fantasy game day team again, I can tell you that for free.
No, I thought, the volume might be down at 2,200, but Vidal Sassoon doesn't provide as much volume as you think. So, anyway, what I did want to shout out, Kirk Cousins, just how bad it's been. Again, this is fantasy points. In week 2, he finished 8th. Against the Bucks, he's finished 1st and 3rd at quarterback. He's never finished higher than 16th otherwise. In the other however many games that is, -3. He just... I really think they should just turn to Penix. If this is what Kirk Cousins is right now, don't be the Saints. Don't just cling on to winning some shitty division that it doesn't matter because you're going to get bounced in the first time you play a good team because you're getting bounced by every team you play anyway. What have you drafted Michael Penix for?
I'll be surprised to do it now. I still think... Yeah. I think you're in that tough position. If you do it and Penix absolutely stinks, then you're in a worse position than you are now. I think Cousins still that professional, and he's had 3 terrible, bad games, and I think people. It doesn't feel like there's a locker room where they're like, we need to get him out.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's been a few places where he has been that, and they've made the change, and some's gone well, some's not gone well. So I still think he has a locker room, so I wouldn't get rid of him yet. It just might be. Yeah, I think there's just an awkward position being 6-6 at the top of that division, where you don't really want to make a change because he has helped them get there, but he's also helping them get to 6-6. And no good. And while you're doing shout, I just want to shout out Derwin James. I felt like he was everywhere.
Yeah,
he was like the player a few years ago where he was going to be the next big thing. Injuries has not helped him, and dip in form. But yesterday he had one of the big games where felt like he was everywhere, making big tackles and an INT on the way. So shout out Derwin James.
Yeah, fantastic game. I think it'd be insane to bench Cousins at this point, especially next week when we have the Kirk Cousins revenge game as the Falcons take on the Vikings. So, big one next week for sure. And Chargers on Charbars. Sorry, Byron, are on Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs. Eagles Ravens then is going to be the last game we talk about in depth. It's finished 24-19. Obviously, the Ravens got a very, very late touchdown to make that a lot closer. I was so impressed with the Eagles. Again, I hate speaking so positively about the Eagles. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. Again, they kind of went back to their we don't do anything in the first quarter, and they were 9 points down. Yeah. But I wasn't worried at all for them. No. They just dominated the Baltimore Ravens physically. They won on the O-line, they won on the D-line. I would, thoroughly impressed. And I kind of think I think the Eagles are on par now with the Lions as the best team in the NFL at the minute.
Yeah, I'd struggle to disagree. I've had the Lions number one in my power rankings as long as we've done them. I had the Lions to win the Super Bowl pre-season. I think they're really tightly matched right now, especially because the Eagles don't have the injuries the Lions do. You know, if everyone was at full strength, I'd still have the Lions. But if they played on Sunday in a neutral field, I would probably go with Philly because they're playing such good football right now. Obviously, the big advantage the Lions have is they have a coach who doesn't need a babysitter, which is a benefit. But yeah, they're just playing so well on both lines. And they have the two rookie DBs who are absolutely shining. That Cooper DeJean takedown of Derrick Henry is one of, maybe not plays of the year, but very iconic. Just visual of it. You know, Derrick Henry doesn't get brought down one-on-one by a safety very often, or a nickel corner very often. So, yeah, it was very, very cool. And they're just such, you know, I said this all off season, or I certainly did. You know, I was high on the Eagles through the off season. They're just such a well-rounded team. 1-53, or maybe 1-52. Jake Elliott's getting the tucker in him, but they're just a really well-run team. Saquon Barkley continues to be Saquon Barkley. AJ Brown was a bit quieter than I think we hoped. I think we ended up going with an fantasy game day captain, and it didn't obviously quite pay off to the level we would have liked. But it's still an alpha wide receiver, obviously. And even when, you know, scoreline looks closer than it was, like you said, they were down 9, and at no point was I like, oh, this could get out of hand here, because you just knew they were going to come back.
I think what they showed yet again was that commitment to the run. And that's what they do so well. The Eagles, they don't come away from it. It took them a while to get going, and they did pass it maybe a little bit more. Yeah. And you guys had discussed that in the preview. Obviously, we know how bad the Ravens are at defending the pass. And they passed a little bit more early on to open up the run. Mm-hmm. I was so close to cashing the parlay. I was so annoyed it fell just short. But I thought it was right. Kind of, that's how I thought it was going to go. That maybe early it would struggle, and then later on that we'd get it. Just fell a few yards short on a couple of attempts. But yeah, just the Ravens on the other side go away from what they do well so quickly when it doesn't work. And then you get found out. And I think that I just don't think the Ravens are going to win a playoff game here.
I'm not quite sure. I'm slightly different to you guys. I thought the Eagles were the better team, but I don't think they were miles better. I think some situational football for the Ravens cost them. Like, you know, I know Tucker missed 3 kicks, 2 field goals to put them in the lead, and I think that's huge. You know, if they gets at least one of them, so they're in the lead, that changes how the Eagles play, and it might force her to do something stupid. So I think they were massive, and obviously missing 2 back-to-back. There was a few that, like, Lamar Jackson missed Likely over the middle where he was all alone. It looks like Likely should have gone more up the field, but he came more Crosby was not a great throw anyway. And there was another throw I think Lamar just missed. So I think the problem the Ravens have is sometimes when it's there to be won, they just don't take it, while the Eagles feel like they do. Like, you know, when you think about coming into this game, you thought what the Ravens' weakness were, especially in defense, and they actually played pretty well. You know, Hurts only threw 118 yards. You know, Ravens, I know even if you take out the 70-yard run, you know, the garbage time run from Lamar, they still got 50 more yards than the Eagles, more first downs, more possessions. So I think they were in that game if they just closed on them kind of situations. And yeah, who knows how it may have gone, you know, even if they went up, the Eagles could have stomped them anyway. So it's, you know, you can't say. But I think it is massive that Tucker missed them field goals, because I think it's just psychologically, 1, to get in the lead, and 2, now Ravens are thinking, oh shit, our kicker's just missed 2 50-yarders, and it just changes their game plan where Lamar just have to do a little bit more. But I think the Eagles defense, it's been the best in the league the last few weeks. So I still think Eagles are the better team. But with the Ravens, I think it's more situational than the team as a whole. Because I think they're a lot better, play a lot better on defense as well. It's just some reason they just can't put it all together.
Yeah, I know the Tucker thing is, it's gone beyond the joke now, and I know how good he was and has been being the key word, I think, at this point for such a long period of time. He is beyond a liability for this team. 19 of 27, he's a 70% field goal kicker this year. It is madness. At this point, the sentimentality needs to go out the window. Cut him, bench, whatever. Send him to the practice squad. Get somebody else in, because this is going to cost you another close game. We've seen it now. Last week, the week before, he missed 2 against the Steelers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was the field's fault. Was it the field's fault at Pittsburgh? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. What was his excuses last night against the Eagles? He is beyond a liability at this point.
Yeah, I think the Ravens need to be playing 4-down football. If they're not willing to cut or bench Justin Tucker, like I was saying yesterday, just fake an injury, get him on IR for the rest of the season, figure out what's wrong with him and bring him back next season. They can't have this bad of a pass defense and be this bad of a kicker. Like, they're two important aspects of their team. They just can't. They're not going to win playoff games like this. And it doesn't equal 1-1, obviously, but in their 5 losses this season, Justin Tucker has missed 22 points. Their total losses in those games is 22 points. That's what they're losing games by. They have lost literally by the amount of points he's missed. And it's not 1-1. Like, the loss to the Chiefs by 7 points. He didn't miss 7 points in that game. He missed 3. But just, it's a neat little stat because it does equal out to 1-1. And it's not going to improve magically. Like, Mason Crosby had this for the Packers, and it didn't get better until the next season. I don't think Justin Tucker might be retired. I don't think it's that, because we don't know what goes on in the mind of a kicker. Like, the yips is like the most lonely place to be in a team sport when you're a one-person team. Yeah. But you just need to get him out of the headlights, because it's not going to get better with, like, if he knew how to fix it, he'd fix it.
Yeah. They do have a bye week, so I'm curious what they're doing the bye week coming up. And I think it helps, obviously, John Harbaugh being the head coach, a special team coach beforehand. You don't get many head coaches going that route, so I wonder if that, if that is an advantage or disadvantage in terms of. But I don't think they'll cut him just because it'll just be weird. But I do think get someone in, try and challenge him and say, look, we played the Giants. If you miss one, then you're gone. And put that pressure on him, because, it is setting up for playing the Chiefs, and they're there to win the game at Arrowhead, and he misses a 30-yarder. And it's like, he's not even like doing this, not like the same kind of kick where he's hooking it left non-stop. It's just like missing either side. Even the ones he's hitting are just sneaking in, where it's, it's not even confidence. Like, some of them went in. But one thing I did want to bring up, did you see the stuff with Deontay Johnson? Didn't play a snap. I think there's a reason why the Panthers only got what they got. And they got, because we were sat here thinking, wow, why is no one else going for him? Like, what is this? Like, obviously, some GMs must have been talking around the league, because he sounds like they may cut him or they may just get rid of him already. And a guy who's in his contract year, it's, he might be not played it out the way he wanted to, and certainly not getting the money he was probably hoping at the start of the year, because he could have got a decent contract. Yeah, no, true. Because when he went to Panthers, we thought he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver, and he's going to get paid heavily next year, probably from the Panthers, just because that's what bad teams do. But he's got himself out this Pittsburgh, out of Panthers, now probably Ravens. It's it's a weird one when they need wide receivers as well. With everything going on.
Quick one. I've got one last question on this one before we go. It's hard because a game we'll talk about later has got the prime candidate. Is Saquon in the conversation for MVP and not just Offensive Player of the Year? Because he was the star here.
Yeah, I think he's top 3 now. If I'm MVP, just because you're on a team who, if they keep playing like this, if they win the NFC and you're the best team in football, who is the number 1 player for that team? It's Saquon. I don't think anyone's like, or it's Hurts who's taken over this team. It feels like it's like all the spotlight, and it's all the media and the story around him coming there and everything. So I think it's certainly in there. It'll just be hard to obviously beat the QB, any QB we talk about. It feels like how last year went. You would have to have a terrible year, but McCaffrey didn't sniff it, even though he had that season last year. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so it's Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Saquon Barkley. They're the rankings at the minute. Yeah,
not Burrows. No, there. I would say I'll probably say Barkley second now, and Jackson Lamar's third. But he's had last few weeks and not been as good. So
we'll keep touch that. Eagles play the Panthers next week, so opportunity for the Eagles to get a tough game. Yeah, big favourites as well. It's a big number, 12.5 at the minute. Yeah, Eagles 10-2, top the NFC East, and again they're either going to cruise to that. Ravens 8-5. Behind the Steelers. Steelers have got obviously a game in. Yeah, Steelers 9-3 out. So yeah, Steelers have got obviously the Ravens got the bye this week, so the Steelers have got a game to go on them as well. Looks like it's going to be tough for the Ravens to win that division, but who knows what's going to happen down the stretch. Right, those are our 4 games in detail, and a little bit of Thanksgiving chat to start as well. Let's go to I really don't want to talk about the fourfold. I'm so pissed off about the fourfold this week, but we'll talk about our fourfold challenge. I feel I was screwed. Not very happy. Although to be fair, if I also backdoor covered a game, I'd also be very happy. So I can't have it both ways, can I? But yeah, we'll start then with me. I went 3-1. Steelers unsurprisingly as my underdog, plus 2.5. Obviously, they won the game outright. I took the over in Giants Cowboys, so I wouldn't usually risk a Thursday game, but Thanksgiving and all. But I just felt the number was ridiculously low. I know the Giants and Cowboys both suck, but 37 just felt low. Cowboys were a lot better though. 27-20 to the Cowboys. I thought Cowboys played, pretty well. There was some good nap time in the middle there if you were full from your Thanksgiving food, where there was a big lull in kind of the second and third quarters. But yeah, Cowboys came out on top 27-20. Defense, a lot better. DeMarvion Overshawn with one of the plays of the season. He smashed the block, tipped the pass, caught it himself, and ran it in for the touchdown. And just pretty. I know the Giants scored near the end to make it a bit closer, but I thought it was pretty comfortable. This one for the Cowboys.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I was right. It didn't feel like a 7-point game. Rico Dowdle was really impressive. A man who should have been getting running back one workhorse role all season, but whether we blame Jerry or Mike McCarthy or some combination of the two, determined to drag the corpse of Zeke out for a few weeks to start the season for no good reason. I remember being annoyed because Rico Dowdle was plus 300 plus to score touchdowns in the first few weeks, and they would just insist on giving Zeke the ball. I was like, how do I know more than you guys? You're in the building. Come on. And yeah, me and Joe both hit on our touchdown bets here, which was defense to score. I picked Dallas specifically. Joe just went with either of them, knowing what the quarterbacks were like. Yeah. And we kind of mentioned that in the preview of if the over 37's hitting, then there's a good chance of the defensive touchdown here. And there we were. Both of them hit, which is nice.
Are the Cowboys in the hunt? That's the question. 5-7.
They'll be on the graphic.
Yeah, but no.
So they're comfortable on the graphic. When we were watching I can't remember, me and Jenna were watching the game. I think it was the first game in Lions Bears, and CBS had the Cowboys in the hunt graphic, and I was like, "What the fucking hell are they doing?" Because the Saints were on it as well, and it was like, why are we?
To be honest, if the Saints had won yesterday, I know, spoiling it, going ahead, they definitely would have been in it. That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, in the hunt, on there, and then. But to be fair to Fox, was it Fox that had the game? Yeah, because Brady was on it. They didn't have the Cowboys in the hunt graphic, so but they will be now for sure. Moving forward, but no, I know Parsons was spouting off at the end of the game that we're coming. I think all the Cowboys can do is play spoiler for some other teams, particularly the Bucs, Eagles, and Commanders. They can play spoiler too, so I think that's as good as it's going to get. But yeah, we had you mentioned the special teams touchdown or defense special team touchdowns, and I had the Cowboys -4 as a bet as well. You early in the week recorded the preview before you knew that Tommy DeVito wasn't going to play. It was Drew Lock, and that was really the Giants' offense. Their two best plays were 2 Drew Lock rushes.
Longest of his career.
Yeah.
The first one.
Kind of play breakdowns, and he managed to kind of, rush. So tells you kind of a lot about where the Giants are. And yes, as you've just mentioned there during the chat, they are officially eliminated from playoff contention.
No longer in the hunt.
No longer in the hunt. Next game, Rams Saints. I had the under on this one. Under 49. This wasn't sniffing 49 at any point. I think it was 6-0 at halftime to the Saints. But Rams won 21-14. Just too much for the Saints in the end. Big one for the Rams to kind of keep pace in the NFC West.
I think they needed it, but I don't think they're impressive. That's the thing. I think if you look at their first half, I think there's only been one time they've not scored in the first half under Sean McVay, I saw.
Yeah.
It was 8 years ago.
Do you want to have a guess when it was?
Oh, sorry.
I think it was like week 9, 2015 or something, wasn't it? I think
the last time I think it was the Super Bowl when they played the Patriots.
Oh, yeah, that'd make
when it was like
sense,
3-0, yeah. But yeah, they were shocking in the first half, just not going anywhere. And then they came out halftime and started flinging around and running it a lot more with Kyron Williams to get him going. But yeah, they needed it just to keep going. But I think I've not been overly impressed or optimistic with this Rams team. This seems weird that even though they got all the players back, they just can't beat bad teams and put it all together. And yeah, like I said, if the Saints had won that game, they would have been one game back and from the Bucks and from the Falcons, so they could have been in it just with the last 2 wins. But maybe the interim bump on the last 2 games, so we'll see where they go. And sad news about Taysom Hill as well. Looks like his season's done.
Done for the season. Which is a shame because he's been obviously had a expanded role, not expanded role, maybe more of what we used to see him from Taysom Hill. That for some reason they just weren't using him as much. And it turns out when you just kind of plug him in and let him do bits and bobs, he's pretty goddamn productive. Another MVS touchdown as well. Just imagine taking him out of your fantasy game day lineup, eh?
Well, it's bad night Mitchell 0 in there. So. No, I'm really sad about Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
He's
34 as well, isn't he? Like, it's a big injury.
Yeah. But yeah, Saints lost Rashid Shaheed and Taysom Hill this season. Who really, Kamara is Kamara, but like Shaheed and Taysom Hill, I think are like 2 of the most interesting players in the NFL. Like, just really fun to watch. And yeah, the Saints are a lot. MBS has kind of filled that Shaheed role a little, certainly on the deep stuff. Which is nice against someone who's took a lot of shit in their career. It's nice to see him getting like a bit of a, positive, not to say end to it, but a nice bright season at least. And yeah, probably my favorite Taysom Hill, or one of my favorite Taysom Hill stats. He's the only player in the Super Bowl era to have 10 passing, 10 receiving, and 10 rushing touchdowns. Only player in the Super Bowl era. There was one, Frankie Gifford, who played 52-64, who'd done it previously, and that's literally it in NFL history. So. Yeah, Taysom Hill, sometimes a bit of a meme, sometimes a bit fun, but you can't knock the guy. Like, he started his career late, his Mormon mission, so his college thing went long. And I don't know, like, you just kind of always think, like, oh, this ain't going to last. And I don't know, I think it's just great that he's had this career he's had, because I think in a lot of places he wouldn't have had it. I think it's, the Taysom Hill career is probably like a 99 percentile outcome, and in most percentile outcomes, Taysom Hill never gets heard of. And yeah, I just think it's a real fun story that feels like something from the 60s.
Yeah, for sure. Throwback. But yes, we'll miss Taysom Hill the rest of the way. Saints 4-8 and Rams back to 500, 6-6. I really don't want to talk about this. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it for a second. Saints have got the Giants and the Rams are... I've got the Bills next week, so tough games. Yeah, this game's just going to piss me off. So I had the Texans -5 as my favorite, and it was absolutely cruising. What were we? 23-6?
I heard you were celebrating the hit as well, Paul. That's what
I was not. Let's start there. What an absolute scumbag. What a horrendous hit. Have you seen the kind of the Notes app apology?
No.
Which is just awful. He'd just been better off not saying anything, to be fair.
Often.
Al Shahir. Aziz Al Shahir.
Former Niners linebacker. He's a really good player as well, which is crazy. It was like, I think it was like the third linebacker for 49ers just because of how strong they were. Went to the Texans, was their captain. Oh, sorry, Titans, and then the Texans. He's like the main guy, but yeah, it was dirt. You knew what he was doing. He led with his elbow, with his big padding, and he went straight for the head. Like, there's some times where, it's if you play in real speed and they've only got a split second, blah, blah, blah. But they normally have a split second. That's why they're the best athletes, because they can react. And he knew what he was doing. He was aiming for the head. Like, if Lawrence wasn't diving, then like what kind of tackle would that have been? You know what I mean? So if he was trying to like wrap him up and he caught him that way while he was sliding, it's like, okay, fair enough. But no, he knew what he was doing. And yeah, he rightly so got chucked out of the game. I can't remember who mentioned it now. I think Mark Sessler from the the call. He made a good point where it's like such a weird thing where he made that challenge, knocked Trevor Lawrence out of the game. This is a third and 1, but because the Jacksonville players reacted, it was offsetting. So basically, he knocked their main quarterback, so Mac Jones had to come in, and they didn't lose any yards because he was offsetting because of that such a dirty hit. It feels like that's the kind of thing they should just clean up, where it's like, if it's that horrendous, give him the 15 yards, or maybe give him 15 yards back and just say it's 1st and 10, just because it felt unfair that the bases knocked out their franchise quarterback and he hasn't really got, much. He probably going to get suspended for a game or two just because how people have reacted. But it's I did see some people saying he probably wanted to get chucked out because there would have been some people tagged in him the next play, and he wouldn't have been able to protect him.
I mean, he doubled and then trebled down. Because then obviously he was heavily involved in the fight. Yeah. He was trying to fight the Jags O lineman, and then he was trying to fight the fans. He just tried to fight everybody. Bizarre, yeah, and dirty hit. And if I don't see Azeez Al-Shaair on an NFL field again, I won't miss him.
But this was harsh for you, Paul, because it was close, and obviously Matt Jones. He actually played pretty decent, Matt Jones, as well. Which I bet is slightly annoying. Like, he played his best game when it's against the team you're betting on, and you get that touchdown near the end with the 2 point to help Byron at least get a push in that over-under. Yeah,
I mean, it was so frustrating to watch. And I guess it's my fault picking the Texans because they just kind of shut off completely, didn't they? They were dominating that game, and then they just go missing in games for long periods of time where they just kind of sleepwalk through games. And yeah, it was close on the scoreboard, but this is kind of potentially happened in some of the games that they've lost as well, where they just kind of sleepwalk through games, and it was real frustrating. We had Stroud and Nico Collins. We were actually a good combo for fantasy game day. It wasn't too bad, but I guess Collins had the volume, but not the touch. Obviously didn't get the touchdown, and then Stroud only ended up with 1. But yeah, it was just real frustrating.
I thought it was nuts. Just looking at the rushing stats, it was basically Mixon for 100 yards, and then the only other rushing was Stroud for 7 yards, which I'm guessing was scrambles. So like then no other running backs in the game, which helps your bet, Paul, another 100 yards to get closer for the year. But yeah, I worry about this Texans team. I just think as a whole they're not playing great. I think the defense feels very boom bust, where they seem to have great games but concede too many points, or like you said, sleepwalk. I don't know. CJ Stroud's, would you say, is the biggest disappointment this year? Because even though he's played he's not been obviously the worst quarterback, but how coming into this year felt like he was going to be a top 5, top 3 kind of quarterback, and it feels like he's been very average. Where you could easily argue that Bryce Young's played better than him in the last few weeks. It's
CJ Stroud played fine on Sunday. To be fair, he struggled in some other games, but he played perfectly fine, I guess, on Sunday. I think also having Collins out for a big period of time, he seems to struggle with that. Yeah, but that happens, right? Look at plenty of other teams have struggled with injuries, but yeah, I don't know. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll settle down. I just think as well, also kind of, he was so good last year. Yeah, that I think maybe we all had.
I think the issue I see them similar to the NFC South, where I feel like they're going to get got in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think
with that. Yeah, whoever when they play probably the best wildcard team, I can see them getting beat just because it just feels like they
Yeah,
struggle
that'd
to
be
be
the
bad teams.
last-
Like they play the Jags at the end of the day. I know it's like rivals and it's AFC South, but if you're a good team, you dominate this kind of game and you beat this team when you're playing a Mac Jones team who had if they stopped them at the end, then they would have had a chance to win this game or at least tie it. So yeah, I don't know. The Texans are a weird team where they're just not impressing me at all.
I'll walk back my Ravens can't win a playoff game take if the Ravens are the 5 seed and they go to the Texans as a 4 seed, then the Ravens will beat them. I'll walk that back.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I'm not as confident as I would have been a few weeks ago, though.
Yeah, no, but
kind of in both teams, though. Like, I'm not confident in either of them. So
yeah, that's fair. Texans should have just beat the brakes off the Jaguars here. I mean, no, figuratively speaking, not literally like they did. But yeah, Jaguars, Texans on a bye. Texans are on bye watch for me to bet against, as are all teams at the minute. Joe, have we got an update on the record? Some more teams coming off a bye absolutely sucked this week. The Jags were one of them, so they covered. Yeah, a lot of others didn't. So I think that'll be like Bengals. 8 or 9, 17 Bengals. Yeah, and yeah, so I think it's worth tracking because this is your last week of buys, isn't it? So
finally,
yeah, Jags at Titans next week. Yeah, Texans 8-5, Jaguars 2-10. Peterson looks like he's going to last the season at least. I think probably the only positives for Jacksonville Jaguars, and yeah, hopefully Trevor Lawrence is okay. Byron, to yours, not a great week for your 4-4, was it? 1-2-1.
Yeah, 1-2-1. Yeah, I was like 1-1-2. Yeah, 1-2-1.
And you've slipped to 24 hours in a restaurant.
Looking forward to it. Yeah. Get some peace and quiet for a change.
Start off with your favourite. You took the Bucks -6, and yeah, the Panthers pushed them all the way. This one went to overtime, and the Panthers were there weren't they? They got the ball back in overtime and were very much in a position to win the game. And sadly, a Chuba Hubbard fumble, and the Buccaneers made them pay. Won this one 26-23. Yeah, it wasn't pretty at all from the Buccaneers when we were expecting them to put the foot down here.
No, not at all. No, another good game from Bucky Irving though. We've been tipping a few times, or certainly I've been mentioning a few times of coming on strong down the stretch, and he continues 150 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans back in the swing of things, 118 yards and a touchdown. Hopefully, you get the yardage up.
What a grab that was!
Unreal, yeah. I mean, there've been a lot of good catches this year that we've spoke about, but like, it always feels like Mike Evans looks like kind of too big to do that kind of thing, and yet, like Nuke Hopkins, it just looks like, I don't know, like a cyborg doing it somehow. Like, I don't know, he's that tall and he's built, and yet he's so incredibly technically sound as well. And obviously, neither of them are getting any younger, and yet they still just do it every week, basically. It's absolutely incredible. Really hoping Mike Evans can just up the yardage the rest of the season to get his streak continued. I think he needs to get more than 118 per week. I don't know how much more. It's like 140 off the top of my head.
I think it's less. So I think it was 99.
Oh, cool, great.
Going in.
Fingers crossed then, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the Bucks are just going to try and get every game to overtime to maximise the amount of opportunities he gets?
Well, I do find it harsh. Oh, sorry, Bar. I was just going to say that I think one of the closest, because you had Evans to get the reception leader this week, and I think he missed out by 1 yard. Nico Collins, which if only Bucky didn't like get that run at the end, he could have gone more to Mike in overtime. It would have been nice little earner.
Yeah, it's been one of them years though for the weekly specials. I think this might be the last year we do it, truthfully, because the DraftKings just don't know how to put a market together. Like this week, you could bet on Tommy Tremble to lead the week in receiving, but you couldn't bet on Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua or Jackson Smith-Njigba or DK Metcalf. Very odd market. It's tough to try and keep up with what they're doing. So, and it's been a really unsuccessful season for it as well. A couple of close misses, one hit, but yeah, we'll finish the season doing it and hopefully get some more hits as we go. But yeah, I mean, Bryce Young, my man. I think he's really giving the Panthers not so much something to think about, but an answer for next season that Bryce Young is your quarterback.
I think that's where we're going, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of them weird ones where I think they deserve to win this game. I think it's probably one of Baker's worst games this year. And the Panthers played well. Phelan played well. Bryce Young, that the drive to go ahead could have been his moment, would have been his NFL moment, and would have been 3 and 4 games. But it's also a weird thing. It's probably help in the long run to get that higher draft pick, because this team is still deficient in a lot of areas. They need to improve on a lot of the positions, especially the skill positions. So, Bryce Young playing this well, and just obviously they don't want to lose. They want to win as many games. And again, if they'd won, there would have only been 2 back, and it would have been like a weird NFC South.
Do this.
No, I'm saying if they did, so people would have chatted. So I definitely don't think they've got it. But this could have been the best outcome for them going into next year, where they get possibly a top 5 pick, rather than being one of them teams where you just end up picking 14 just because you win 6 pointless games, and you get stuck, picking around that and not getting them, blue chip talent coming into the league.
Yeah, the likelihood is you get either a top 2 wide receiver or the best O-lineman at this point. So that'll certainly help them out a lot. And Jonathan Brooks, I know he made his debut the week before. It was kind of more of a usage week, and he looks really good. Chuba Hubbard obviously looks good every week, so he's certainly going to take his job despite the fumble. But it's just nice to see Brooks on the field and looking good, because it's a long way back from the injury. It's taken him a long time to get here. Obviously, no reason for the Panthers to have rushed him back either. But until you see someone on the NFL field doing what you expect them to, you never know if they're going to do it. So that was a positive for the Panthers as well. Just we talk about this a lot, but they'll probably move up in the power rankings with a loss, and this might be another week where they do so. Certainly go up in how I feel about them standings, whether that translates to the power rankings or not, we'll see. But
we'll see. Look, I don't think Bryce can keep improving. Obviously, he's working more and more with Dave Canales, and we've seen what Gino benefited from, what Baker benefited from. So look, let's see. Maybe there's more to come from Bryce, but I think his best outing for sure so far. You're under, Byron. You were on Niners, Bills. You were under 44.5, and it finished 45. The snow game, another snow game, back-to-back weeks with a full snow game. So I'm not going to lie, that it is harsh that it was by 0.5, but there were so many more points left on the board in this game. So I think it was lucky that it was just 45 points.
And I am going to say, it'd be nice for the standings if it went under 44.5, but actually, because of the snow, it was 43.5 by the time I got it on. So if it had went 44, I would have been pretty furious because I missed out on my bet because of it. Obviously, I'd already lost because of the Bucks at that point, but I was like, that'd just be typical me. But yeah, they just covered it completely anyway. And I don't think I have too much to say about the game, Joe. I don't know if you want to talk about it or if you'd rather just.
We'll get to the Niners. Let's just talk about we've got to talk about the play first.
I'm not gonna lie, the ref should have blown that early. It was going backwards. The forward momentum kind of half and half, but just throwing it out there.
Joe, you miserable sod. Josh Allen took it to Amari Cooper, pitched it back to Josh Allen, who rushed in for the touchdown. I'm not sure what's gone down as at the stats. So has it gone down as a Josh Allen receiving touchdown?
A throwing and a receiving on the same play.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how you can have a receiving when it's a hook and ladder, because it's based like a ladder.
He doesn't get a reception, but he gets receiving yards. A bit like the Jameer Gibbs one a few weeks ago, where Gibbs had a 20-yard touchdown receiving without a catch.
I still don't think it's the best throw and receiving touchdown. I don't know if you want to think of the one I'm thinking of, but
is it Randy Moss?
No, it was it Max Mariota? Mariota, where he throws it, bats in and it just catches him and runs into the.
That was a good one, yeah. I think my favourite is the Randy Moss one. I can't think who Moss is. It Chris? I can't think who it is. I was going to say Chris Carter, but I don't think it is Chris Carter. Where he just dumps it off his head essentially, and the guy runs it in. That was a classic.
But Josh Allen kind of did it all in this one, didn't he? Obviously rushed for another one in.
He's the only player in NFL history to have a rushing, receiving, and passing touchdown in 2 plays. That's a fact, apparently.
Well, he's challenging Taysom Hill for the stats, isn't he?
Gadget man.
Love it.
Yeah, I think clear MVP at this point. Josh Allen and the Bills rolling, and yeah, great to see. But there's no better place for a snow game, is there? Because the people of Buffalo just fucking love it, don't they? Go wild, chucking the snow off. It was the great visuals as always. But yeah, Niners fully dead. If they weren't fully dead before, they are fully dead now. CMC done. Jordan Mason on IR. Yeah, this is getting bad, Joe.
It is. I haven't written them off yet, just because of the division they're in. I'm still going to say that because I think they've got the Bears this weekend. The Seahawks have got the Cardinals. If the Cardinals win, they're only a game back. So and they beat the Bears. Obviously, they got to beat the Bears. So I'm still got a glimmer of hope. And the Rams have got the Bills, so it could be 7-6, 7-6, 6-6. No, 6-7, 6-7. So I'm not writing them off just yet, but it's getting there. I don't think they'll do anything in the playoffs because when they play a big team, they just seem to crumble, which is a weird. It always felt like the 49ers were the physical team, with a team who would like put more effort in, or like and it is just. I think I said it when they missed the field goal. Well, McCaffrey runs, gets like shoelace tackled, where if he just got back, that's a touchdown and they're going to lead. They do that. Obviously, McCaffrey goes down injured. That scrambles the team, missed the field goal, and then the Bills on first play, James Cook runs 65 yards. And he felt like that just summed up the Niners season, just, so close, gets injured, can't tackle. Basically, it felt like that. But what the frustrating thing is, I thought they started the game pretty well. Like, they got the Bills 3-and-out. They have a nice drive where McCaffrey looked like McCaffrey. I think he's obviously being a snow game helps the running backs, because I felt like every single running back was getting chunk plays most of the time. So, red zone issues as usual, where they can't just punch it in, so they have to settle for the field goal. They get the Bills at 3-9. The first three, and the commit, it's Tre'Davious Ward who's just come back, commits a penalty. Obviously, if he doesn't do that and they have to punt again, then this game could be different. But, it just felt like as soon as that happened, it just crumbled and they get the touchdown. Then Jake Moody misses a field goal. And then it just felt like it crumbled after that. And even, they missed the field goal just for halftime. Then they go all the way down the field, and then Juszczyk just decides to cough it up on the goal line. It just feels like when there's that point just to, do something to that, a bit like not like the Ravens, because the Ravens are a lot better team. They just seem to crumble lately, and that's not the Niners of old. Obviously the injuries don't help, but I think even with the injuries, this defense is a bit shambolic. And the offense is just red zone offense every week. So I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but like I said, I haven't ruled them out fully just because there's still a route for them just because of the division they're in. I think if they're in any other division but NFC South, they would be out of it. I just don't think the other three teams are good teams as well. I think the Niners are probably the worst out of the four of them in it, but can they turn it around with some players back? I think they can. Because you're hoping But yeah, obviously McCaffrey out for the year. I'm glad he wasn't when it first happened. I was like, okay, is this going to be a big surgery? Is he going to be back and start next year? It just sounds like there doesn't need to be surgery. I think he would technically come back if they do make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Jordan Mason, high ankle sprain. Kevin Givens, another defensive lineman, is torn his tricep, I think, or he's torn something. So another player who's out. They just keep taking the hits, and yeah. When that's just been your season where it's just been injury after injury, and some more sad news. I don't know if you saw Trent Williams, sadly, his wife. They lost a baby, a stillbirth. So when you think that Tre'Davious Ward lost his child, Pearson got shot. It's just been like one thing after the other for this Niners, where it's been injuries or off the field stuff, and they've had a few close games which they should have won, so the record would have been better. But they're just not a good team, and if the like I said, even if they do make the playoffs, I can't see them doing anything where they'll get kicked out straight off. So, I think the only good thing is if they somehow do what they've done under Shanahan, where they've had bad years and being able to get blue chip players just to make the team better, like when they did when they got Bosa and a few others. So, we'll see where it goes from here.
See where we go. Yeah, 5-7 for the Niners, and playing the Bears, who potentially have an interim coach bump. We shall see. On to your over. Obviously, you pushed. Both talked about that Texans-Jags game already, Byron. And then you hit your underdog. You hit the Raiders, covering the 12. Probably should have won this game. Again, kind of gave the Chiefs everything they could handle and a lot more. First of all, Aiden O'Connell was absolutely incredible here. Where has this come from? Where did this come from Aiden O'Connell? Obviously, they went to the Chiefs last year and beat them, and Aiden O'Connell threw the ball twice, or whatever it was that they did last year. He threw for 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. Truly incredible performance. Sadly, it wasn't enough. Brock Bowers was insane again. Another 10 receptions, 100 yards. I just felt I was gutted for the Raiders here because they really deserve to win this game.
Yeah, they were really, really impressive. And, kind of my entire thing of MO of taking this game was like, it's just too many points. I didn't think the Raiders were actually going to be competitive and good in the game. And, yeah, I mean, Aiden O'Connell was the best quarterback on the field, which is wild. Sincere McCormick had a really strong outing, 12 for 60, I think he went roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, to shout out, what a great name. It's got to be the running back with the most confident speak in his mind, old Sincere. Maybe since Frank Gore, or we currently have Ernest Johnson. So there's some good puns for everybody about being earnest or being frank.
How long have you been working on those?
Being sincere. I just tweeted it out earlier, so or blue skied it. I don't know what the term is. Posted it on Blue Sky, I guess is the term.
From your account or from ours?
Oh, this is from mine. I wouldn't ruin our account with this stuff. Sorry, yeah, no chance. We have some credibility. I don't.
Byron Chenko, it's a great follow.
It is a great follow. Yeah, I would recommend it. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I think is shout out Brock fucking Bowers. Like he's got to be an offensive rookie of the year consideration now. Jane Daniels, obviously, we'll get to the Washington game as we get to it here. But I mean, they won again, so it's not like he's fell off or anything like that. He had a few bad weeks, but Brock Bowers is historic as a tight end and as a rookie tight end especially. He's leading the NFL in receptions.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Like I thought Malik Neighbors would be in consideration as a rookie. And he's still not a million miles away. He's 9 short right now. I didn't have it in my wildest dreams that Brock Bowers would do it. No chance. He's going to the Raiders. But every week he's impressive. Every week he almost seems to get better. Him and Trey McBride are really shining the light, and almost Jonnu Smith, weirdly, for the tight ends in this league. And yeah, it's weird to think the Raiders actually smashed a draft pick that I don't think they wanted to make. I think they wanted Bo Nix. I think they wanted Michael Penix. And they kind of fell into taking Brock Bowers because he was the best available player. And it's paying off in spades because I'm not going to say that's a piece that'll attract you a head coach necessarily. You'd rather have a quarterback in place, but having the best tight end in the league as a rookie, it's certainly intriguing to a lot of offensive coaches, I would dare say, presuming Antonio Pierce is out of a job at the end of the season, which I expect him to be.
He's a bizarre coach, and
he is.
And it ended up working out because they got another shot.
Yeah,
but I just giving Patrick Mahomes the ball back with a lead with 3 minutes to go. I don't understand that. I mean, like I said, they got the ball back, but
but that's like the opposite of the process. That's just you got lucky getting the ball back.
Yeah, you were trying a 58-yard field goal with a kicker that had already missed twice from, I think, 50 and 55.
Yeah.
And you were trying to get him to kick a 58-yard field goal. Anyway. Go for it.
Yes, go for it. Exactly. We've discussed this before about Antonio Pierce earlier in the season. And for a man who has such tough guy, bravado, when he gets actually making these kind of decisions, it's a bit of a pussy.
I think it was 4th and 11, but just fucking go for it.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell was having a great game. You were making plays. Dial up a play to Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, they got another shot and then made a mess of it, really. I don't know if they got a bit lucky with the call, the Chiefs, because it was shouted as a false start. So I don't understand why, again, you might be able to help me with this, Byron or Joe. So I don't understand why a false start penalty would overrule the box snap and fumble, but a different pre-snap penalty doesn't. So an illegal shift. So you can decline the illegal shift penalty and the Chiefs recover the ball. But if it was given as a false start, that overrules everything, even though that's also a pre-snap penalty.
Well, I think the difference is the false start is a whistle. And, the whistle kills the play, whereas invalid shift, or whatever the term is it
illegal shift?
Illegal shift, thank you, yeah. Is a kind of, it plays out penalty. I think that's a difference. I agree. It seemed very weird in real time. It didn't. It seems to stand up to the technical aspects of the rule, but it doesn't feel right, I will say. And it feels like, because I hate it, like, the Chiefs just get all the calls. It's like, it does feel that way sometimes, but again, if it's technically right, it's technically right. It just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel like a good way to end a game like that. Certainly,
no, it doesn't. And I have to say the Raiders deserve the shot, but the Chiefs are starting to fool me into going. I don't think they can win the Super Bowl because they're playing so badly.
Right? It is starting to get that. After you said it last week, I was like, nah, they'll be fine. And then again, watching this, I was like, I think Paul maybe had a point, actually, because they just... It almost feels like they fall into wins, and a good team's going to not let you do that.
I think a team with a consistent pass rush is going to get them. Yeah. The tackles, it's the 2020 season again where the Bucs just killed them in the Super Bowl. I think that's where this might be going. So I think they might get there. But the Eagles, Lions, maybe if they're healthy, are going to get them in the Super Bowl because they're just the tackles aren't going to hold up. I think that might be where we're going here, and I don't want to say it because it's Patrick Mahomes, but I think it might be that. Yeah, like he's going to need some help, and I just think that's where we might be going here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool. Joe, we'll start with yours. Yours is live. You're waiting on Monday Night Football. So you're sat waiting on the Denver Broncos as your favourite. You hit a game we've already talked about. Chargers, Falcons as your under 48. Cardinals, you hit as your underdog plus 3.5. They lost this one by a point. Another daft coaching decision, and this one more egregious than the Antonio Pierce one we just talked about. I think Gannon had it. I think they had it fourth and goal at the 4 and kicked a field goal to go up 6 points. A 6-point lead might be the worst lead you can have. Yeah. It fools you into thinking you've got a good lead. I think a 6-point lead. Yeah.
And ultimately, it puts, and Greg Olsen spoke about this on the broadcast. It makes the other team go for a touchdown.
Yes.
Like if it's a 3-point, well, they'll just kick the field goal, take it to overtime. There's less urgency on them. Whereas you make it a 6-point game, it's kind of like you're playing Russian roulette and you've loaded the pistol. Like, you've made it shit or bust now. Yeah. Whereas at 3 points, the other team might get conservative because they don't need to go all the way down the field, and that can benefit you. I absolutely hate it. It's just, you take a 1-score game into a 1-score game. It's just pointless.
I know you score, you go up 10 or whatever it would have been. Score, you go up 10. You've pretty much game over. Even if you don't score, they've got to go. You're leaving them at the 2. Wherever 4-2, you're leaving them with inside their own 5-yard line.
Yeah, no margin for error, and it's Sam Darnold who has an error in him.
Yeah, it was just
I'm guessing it's because I don't know if you guys watched any of this game. They were just diabolical in the red zone. I think the Cardinals were. I've just counted to 1, 2, 3, 4. The first time they got in the first half, they got to the red zone 4 times, and they didn't get one touchdown. All field goals.
There were 1
and
in 6
one.
in the red zone. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 1 in 6. Yeah. So and I think the Cardinals should have won this game. Like it worked out perfectly for me, where the Cardinals lose as a San Fran fan, but my bet cashes. Because I was sat there when the Vikings had the ball, and I was like, oh, I don't want the Vikings to score. And then I was like, oh no, I've got the 3.5 point buffer. I don't care. I was like so nervous, and then I was like, oh, I can relax now. Only thing I was worried about was Kyler for an interception and the Vikings running back or a fumble. Yeah, I think the Cardinals should have won this game. This was one of them games where they had it. They just like from the 20-yard to the 220-yard, margins. They just was putting some yards on this Vikings team, but they just couldn't put it away. Again, you look at the stats. They had 406 total yards to 273 for the Vikings. They had the ball 10 more minutes than the Vikings. Got to, like you said, the red zone, 1 of 6. It was there. It was there for the taking, and they just couldn't do it. And the Vikings, just did what they had to do. Again, it feels like a weird team where they're somehow 10-2, even though I think they're a good team. I think they're better than what I expected than what play people think. But yeah, they're not at that level to some of other teams, especially when you figure the Eagles, the Lions, the Bills. They're not on that level. They might be the level below. And I'm curious when they start playing the other teams in that division. Big win. Byron Jones 2 fumbles and gets benched but gets the winning touchdown. And we did set up Kyler Murray to do something special and for an interception. So I think the Cardinals will be ruined that way. You go away from home against 9-2 team and you've dominated, but you've come out on the losing side.
I think this is one they're going to look back on if they miss out on the playoffs. And Kyle's first interception, he just got a bit lost, didn't he? And threw it up for grabs, and it wasn't pretty. But Vikings 10-2. Like I said, someone tells me this division is going to go down. They're going to have. This is going to go down to week 18. Vikings, Lions for the division. I think that's where this is heading. Because they've had the blip and how critical of them, but they keep finding ways to win. Yeah. And you know what? Kevin O'Connell, he's the king of these one-score games. He's 24-10, something stupid like that.
Gameday Eberflus.
It's mad. Is he 3 seasons as the Vikings coach? And I think he's been in 30.
It must be him and Steichen are going for the record. I think Steichen for the Colts have won every game like a crazy amount. But I am looking forward to the last 3 games: the Seahawks, Packers, Lions. That's like all playoff teams right now. So that'll be interesting to see how they do that. And I think if they win 2 out of 3 of them, then this should be one of the favorites to certainly do something in the playoffs because you just beat the best teams. So I think it's exciting. I'm looking forward to the rest of their schedule and see how Sam Darnold carries on performing because I think he's done well under pressure, which is not used. Where he's not that he wasn't when he was playing for the Jets. All fair play to him for the Vikings.
Not used to meaningful December football. You had the over in Titans Commanders. This was one of my just general bets for the week as well. I love this one because I thought the Commanders were going to crush the Titans, and they did. But my God, did they get an awful lot of help in doing that? And we talk about this again. I've mentioned it a few times, and I keep seeing it in different previews and stuff when things go going, oh, that Titans defense is good. They give up the second and fewest yards per game. And it's because their special teams is awful. And it got worse than awful this week. And it was the kickoff return unit that just wanted to just give the Commanders the ball back because you didn't have enough offense. You didn't have enough points and enough attempts to score and red zone starts. Back-to-back kickoff returns they gave back to the Commanders to end up 28-0 down fairly quickly in this one.
Yeah, I just love they were 28-0 down and they only had 10 plays. 10 plays and they were 28 down. So that changes your script quite a bit because they went 3 and out, lost 12 yards, 5 plays, 17 yards, punt. Then the 2 plays, 9 yards fumble from Pollard, and then the fumble off the kickoff. And the Commanders got a touchdown each one. And I think they were impressive. Like this Titans run defense is really good. I think it had the amount of yards before contact. I think it was like just 1 yard or like 1 point something, and the Commanders it doubled that. So obviously they were doing something special, and I think there was a lot of pressure coming into this with the cliff falling off a cliff kind of narratives and what they're going to do. But helps when you get help in hand and it just opens up everything. And Ryan Robinson Jr. looking, back to his best after coming back from injury. So, and Jaden Daniels was more or less perfect. I know he got an INT, but it was a tip from Zach Ertz. So, yeah, we'll see where they go from there. They just need to keep this going at 8-5. It's certainly not a given that they're making the playoffs if they have a disaster at the end. But yeah, certainly helps playing the Titans and going into your bye. After you just lost the last 3, you get the win before the bye. It makes everything a little bit more rosy out in Washington.
Yeah, I think they've got 4 games. I think it's the Falcons, the Saints, the Eagles, and the Cowboys in week 18. I think that's right, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it goes Saints, Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys.
But those are the 4 games. So, yeah, you think 2 of them and that'll be enough. 10 wins and they'll be in. Titans 3-9, and it was just a disaster for them. But the bright spot, Nick Westbrook-Akini, again, 2 touchdowns. He can't stop scoring touchdowns at the minute, this guy.
That's all he does.
Yeah, all he does.
Literally.
He does touchdowns, yeah.
I think it's 8 on 40 receptions, right?
I don't. Is it that many?
No,
8 on 20 receptions.
20. There we go.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, 8 on 20 receptions. It's
and there's 4 players with more touchdowns receiving than him in this season. Sorry, 3 with more.
Yeah.
And shout out, they're actually using Scary Terry just not on one side of the field this time. Yeah. So obviously,
they lined up on the right hand side.
I heard Byron mention it on the preview, and Cliff decided to change it up for once. So, welcome to the Chicago Bears.
Well, I'm looking forward to being the OC to Cliff's 8.
We'll wrap up the games in a second. There's 3 games just to quickly touch on. But shout out Dom, who was our guest picker, friend of the show. He went 2-2, so he had the Vikings as favourite. His Patriots as the underdog. Let's touch on that game. Patriots, Colts, right? Well, not right. I think it is the decision. Go for 2. Steichen did it. Get your win. 1 play from 2 yards. Yeah. Andy Richardson. Thoughts on Andy Richardson? He had a mixed day.
Yeah, I think Richardson done well, to be fair. Mixed, I guess, but I feel silly saying it because I hyped him up plenty. Adonai Mitchell didn't help him out. Adonai Mitchell had a touchdown it was a good defensive play, but he should have brought it in, which was an end zone grab. And then Adonai Mitchell had one where maybe Richardson underthrew him a little. Maybe Adonai Mitchell didn't quite run the route correctly. If Mitchell makes that catch, which was makeable, certainly, it's a long touchdown. And I think we feel a bit better about Anthony Richardson. I'm going more confident in Richardson kind of by the week. I look back again, I was very critical of the Colts naming Flacco at the start of the rest of the season. As each week goes by, that looks more and more silly, I think. I think Richardson's kind of given the Colts the Bryce Young with the Panthers. I think you should be... I think there's no urgency to get a quarterback next, in this draft cycle and overpay for one. Richardson's showing progress by the week. Is he perfect? No, but considering how he missed so much of his rookie year, is he about where you'd hope him to be? I think probably, yeah. Has he got there in the path you'd want? Like Bryce Young? No, probably not. A few too many ups and downs, or too many downs. Obviously, you'd want all the ups. But I think, if you'd said 12 starts into his NFL career, might not be the exact number, might be 13, 14, but it's around 12.
Yeah.
He will be this player. I think you'd go, yeah, okay. He didn't play much in college. And I said this last week, delete every tight end in that room from the NFL. It's embarrassing. I like Kylan Granson coming out as a prospect. I thought he looked pretty good. He is not an NFL tight end. Mallory, same. Who's the one? Drew Ogletree, same. Mo Cox is just huge and looks like a monster. Keep him around for fun, sure. But there isn't an NFL tight end on that roster, and it really hurts because he still has to throw the ball to them, and they look like they've never seen one before.
I was impressed with the drive, the go ahead drive, or the tying drive, I guess, to get there. Obviously, it was long block plays. It was 19 plays, 80 yards, chewed up the last kind of 6 minutes of the game. That might be his moment, because I thought he was pretty good all the way through that drive. Yeah. So that might be kind of his moment, leading his team down. And then obviously they got the 2-point conversion.
I'm still worried though. He went 12 for 24, 109 with 2 interceptions. I just worry that he's got the physical talents, but just you need to be a good passer in this league to have a long, successful career. And I just worry that I don't know if we'll ever see it because I think he just misses easy passes and he does all the throwing down the field, the huge bombs and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's like the touch passes, the ones where it's just like bread. It should be bread and butter for NFL QBs. It just doesn't quite get there. And on the other hand, I think I'm probably if you have to choose, you would rather have Drake May as your future quarterback, where he was even with his legs, he was doing stuff as well. So I've been impressed with May. Obviously, they don't get the win. Shout out to Shane Steichen for actually going for the 2 points where we always condemn coaches not for doing it. So why not? And I think Richardson did well. I think he was he had the option to go to give it to Taylor or keep himself. So the fact that I kept it himself, it's a tough it's tough to stop that guy with when you're 5 yards out. But I think Greg May has certainly impressed me a lot more than I expected him this year. I didn't expect him to play this many games and play as well as he has. So shout out to him.
Somebody that's not impressive.
Sorry.
I think we're about to do the same thing, but do you want to do it?
No, you go ahead. I don't think we are.
Somebody that's not impressive for the New England Patriots is in what was a rough week for kickers again. Joey Sly. I understand how you miss a field goal from 25 yards in the NFL. I really don't. And ultimately, again, with the score, but then nearly make a 68-yarder.
Oh, it was so close.
I think it was like maybe a foot and a yard and a half, 2 yard shot, but bang really down the middle. And I just don't. Yeah, it's been a rough few weeks for kickers. I started to feel sorry for the kickers.
And I did just post in our chat. We are recording whilst Monday Night Football is ongoing. Dustin Hopkins already missed a field goal today. So
how did he not get cut after the Saints game? Anyway, I don't know.
What I was going to say. More Anthony Richardson propaganda from me. He had 82 dropped yards yesterday, the most in 2024 for any quarterback in a single game. And Richardson was pressured on 36% of his dropbacks yesterday with a depleted O-line, and he didn't take a single sack. I would rather have Drake May, don't get me wrong, but I just wanted to highlight those two things. The 50% completion rate isn't good enough, but a lot of them drops are not on Anthony Richardson. It is... I'll be really interested to see what they have around him next year, and we'll see how he is next year because, again, I'm not saying he's a top 10 quarterback by any means, but the raw skills, I think, are getting better. And, I mean, some of them catches that were dropped were just like, guys, come on, do him a favor. And this is without Josh Downs, who's, I know Michael Pittman's getting the paid wide receiver, but Josh Downs is their number one wide receiver. Yeah. I'm much more up than down on Richardson, and I'm kind of very excited to see how the rest of the season goes for him. I think what is going to be a bit of a... I don't think the Colts are going to sneak that spot from the Texans, despite the Texans being...
Yeah. I mean, can the Colts potentially still get a wild card? They've got to play the Broncos yet, haven't they? So, your eyes peel on that for the Colts making a late run. But they're on bye this week as well. Colts and the Patriots. Where are the Patriots? The Patriots also on bye as well.
Yeah.
Patriots on bye. Well, that'll seem really
sure.
Yeah, cool. We'll move into our ATS picks. Just a quick roundup then. So I guess obviously 21, 29, and 2. So they're a bit way off now. Byron currently occupying the forfeit position at 24, 26, and 2. Joe 25, 25, and 1 with still his Monday Night Football game to go. And I'm 30, 19, and 3. So 5 clear of Joe at the minute. We'll see how we get on this evening. Byron, where's it going to be for you? I feel like you've already mentioned it. Did you say it was going to be the hot dog Portillo's?
I said that, but that's not realistic.
It's not. As soon as you said it, I was like, you're going to regret that.
No, that was more just me talking about local places. Truthfully, it's probably going to be Taco Bell, 2 Taco 12 packs.
Oh, nice.
And I'll be out there by 90 minutes.
Oh.
Do you know what, actually, speaking of Taco Bell...
But now you've said that, Byron, I think 5, whatever you just said, equals 1 But equals 1, so you got to do like a lot more of them.
I'm sorry, you want me
Yeah,
to
you both had the idea of mine was like the one thing should equal an hour, and you both said no.
I think we should do a scoring system for it,
Yeah.
but I don't think it should be 5 tackles equals 1 fucking hour.
Yeah, that seems a bit much, Joe.
Well, it's just the fact that you just said you'd have 24 in 90 minutes. I'm just trying to equal
It's
it up.
called bravado, showmanship. Or maybe
Yeah,
it'd take me 23 hours to eat those, Joe. Jeez Louise, no chances. That getting done in 90 minutes. But yeah, what Taco Bell have currently, they're doing a throwback menu. So you've got like items from the 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties. And I think I might have a new favorite Taco Bell item, which is the caramel apple empanada. It is absolutely fantastic. The rest of the menu, the savory stuff they've brought back is like, whatever. It's not really much better than the regular menu. But the caramel apple empanada is an absolute treat.
Nice.
I don't know how long it's here for, but if I can do 24 of those,
I think
I
quite quick.
dread to think what my blood sugar would be by the end of that. But I'd probably do that.
Quick shout out, Taco Bell, Newcastle City Centre, stopped me having an even worse hangover than I would have done had I not managed to get there at 1:30 in the morning last week. So shout out Newcastle Taco Bell.
Second show because of it. I'm wondering if you'd have made today's show if you hadn't had it.
Although, just a quick one, this is the only Taco Bell I've been to a lot of Taco Bells here in the UK. The only one I've ever been to where they don't give you the sauce packets because they're trying to be environmentally friendly.
So they give you a pouch or something, like a packet?
No, you have to order your sauce when placing your order for your meal, but you don't see that because you just go do it on the machine and don't go up to the desk and see. And obviously, I was a little bit drunk as well, so it was on my Christmas Day. But I was just like flabbergasted. The guy looked at me when I was asking him for some fire sauce and some mild sauce. Sadly, those are the only options we have. He looked at me like I was a fucking idiot.
You sure you're in a Taco Bell, right?
Yeah, I wasn't. And then there was just this on the bottom explaining how they don't offer sauce sachets. It was bizarre.
That is ludicrous, yeah.
Solid crunch wrap, though. It was a good crunch wrap.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're going long here on Taco Bell. Do you have Taco Bell breakfast in the UK?
I'm not sure they do breakfast. I think they only open at 12, so I don't think they do breakfast.
You're missing out. Taco Bell breakfast is fast food breakfast.
Yeah, we'll petition them for. I'm pretty sure they only open at like 11 or 12 maybe, and they don't do breakfast.
Yeah.
Which is sad. They also don't do Baja Blasts.
Yeah. Wow.
Limited drink selection. Yeah.
That's a shocker.
It is, yeah. Although you can find it in various shops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, right.
What do you buy? Baja Blast.
Nice, excellent. Yeah, I'd love to be sponsored by Taco Bell in some way, shape, or form. So yes, Taco Bell forfeit for Byron, possibly. It does look like it's going to be one of you two, doesn't it? I think.
All the guests.
Yeah, all the guests. Right, ATS picks. We've only got 2 games to talk about because we've rattled through the rest. But we'll just shout out the solo winners on the ATS picks. Close again this week. I'm 10-5, 9-6 for you two. Feels like whenever I have a really good week, you two are just right there, and it's like I'm just never going to catch up.
I also think the same. I think, I'm having a pretty good week. Let me see how it's going. It's like we pick different games, and yet we always end up at like 8-7 or 9-6 or whatever. It's like
Joe's got an 8-game lead over Byron. So Joe's 108, 81, and 5. Byron's 189, 5, and I'm 89, 105. So I'm out with it. It's between Joe and Byron for this one. Byron, you hit the Bears. Bears covered. Comfortably. +10. I took the Packers -3. Again, what were you two thinking taking the Dolphins?
They played really well in the second half.
Shit and giggles, you know.
You have to play like that the entire game.
Me and Byron thought, let's get Paul back into this competition. We'll just choose some random ones.
30-17 Packers, and obviously it was over. It was the 24-3 by halftime, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just no way the Dolphins were going in there, freezing cold, been snowing, and doing anything. Mike McDaniel was That's not what you want to see from your leader, is it, your head coach? Mike McDaniel's shivering on the sideline, getting his plays in.
Yeah, I always think Mike McDaniel's a bigger issue than the players themselves at this point. Because it's so funny, in the build up to it, he's always got such bravado about going into the cold and being Billy Big Bollocks, essentially. You know, when they were going to play the Chiefs, I think it was, he had the T-shirt. It might have not been the Chiefs. It was last year, though, where it was like, can it get colder?
Yeah, it's not cold enough for me, whatever it was, yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, in the build to this one, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to start throwing snowballs at the players to get prepared for it. It's like, you can't really do that when you just keep getting embarrassed in cold weather, mate. I was kind of just a bit, with the amount of Packers' defensive injuries and how well Tua has been playing since he came back, I thought they'd just do better. And if they played like they did in the second half, all the way through the game, I think this would have been a close game. But they just took so long to get going. They just didn't get warmed up early enough. So
no, Johnny Smith again, top receiver for the Dolphins. The 10 receptions, 113 yards. Yeah, Packers, relatively easy day work for them, wasn't it? And yeah, 9-3. Dolphins 5-7, and that's Dolphins done, isn't it?
Almost certainly. I mean, if we're not, yeah, just almost certainly, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And then Byron, Seahawks. Oh no, we're not there yet. Hold your horses. Joe, you had the Cardinals. You were the only one on the Cardinals that covered, and the Jaguars with that horrible backdoor cover. I was flying solo on the Steelers. And then the other game we haven't talked about, we're all on the Seahawks -2. And given how this first quarter went, I did not see this coming. Another team that had special teams problems, specifically on the kickoff, just couldn't pick up the ball on a kickoff. What?
Well, the outcome of that is Laviska Shenault has been treated like the ball. He's been released today, so.
Yeah, and they also couldn't tackle on a kickoff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two big issues, isn't it?
Yeah, just a little bit. I think it was like crazy as well. Like even the ones what didn't go for touchdown went for like huge yards as well. So it wasn't just like the touchdown one. So it just blows my mind. You can play that bad on one side of the ball and still win, but then you're playing the Jets. And when the Jets are 21, was it 21-6 or 21-7 up? And Rodgers has, Wilson wide open, overthrows him, and then the next play gives it to the big guy, but on the wrong team. He doesn't play for the Jets anymore, Rodgers, or the Giants. He's not his home here. So chucks it to big Leonard Williams, who just runs, what is the most yards for someone who weighs over 300 pounds.
92-yard, thick six.
And that just shows, that's just the Jets. I think it was like the perfect start. It was like Sam Darnold had his biggest comeback today. Rodgers had his, it was the biggest lead he had and lost. And it's just like, well, I think there's like one, there's only 1 point. There's like, it's just the Jets. It must just be the Jets. It's just,
it's cursed.
It's cursed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows if he might not even be playing anymore, Aaron Rodgers. It was a weird press conference.
Yeah. Leonard Williams got to 17.84 miles per hour at one point during his return, which was incredible. I've never ran that fast before. And I'm not 300 pounds.
Yeah. And we'll let Byron take it for Gino, just to give him his props. I know Byron's been sitting there patiently.
Gino's the effing man, isn't he? Let's just not much more to say, really. Another good game. Not perfect, but really good again by Gino. I don't have too much to say. I love that Gino went and posted on social media, though, the meme of I went to my haters' funeral just to check they were dead. And it's like, yes, fuck the Jets. And yes, Gino, my man. I did. I don't think that's the heaviest return touchdown ever, though. I'm pretty sure I was trying to look it up yesterday. Dan Wilkerson in 1999 had an 88-yard touchdown return. He was 340 pounds. But what a play by Lenny Williams. That was absolutely incredible. I do think the Seahawks, it's kind of weird. They just need to, I think, get JSN more involved, though. He only had 4 receptions yesterday, and it's like, he's been playing so well. Why is he not getting 10 receptions? Or, why is he not getting 10 targets? He only had 4 targets on the game. But, you take the win as it comes, considering what happened in the first quarter, the first half.
Yeah, absolutely.
You take the win. But still room to do for the Seahawks in what has been a wild NFC West this year. So.
Yeah, for sure. Seahawks, Cardinals, we've already mentioned, is the big matchup next week in the late slate. And Jets have got the Dolphins in a divisional game. Kind of both teams dead. That wraps us up for the ATS picks. We're all out into week 14. We're going to rifle through this last few bits because it's been a long one. We've been chatting about Thanksgiving, Taco Bell. Thanks if you're still with us listening to this nonsense. Winning fantasy game day lineup. We'll quickly run through that. Reminder, plenty of games going on for the Ireland games, the Ballers games, the early slate games, late slate games, easy for me to say, and classic options, the best NFL daily fantasy game around in the UK. Use the promo code COVER. You'll get a free bonus play once you've entered a team for the first time. Got to be 18, must be UK only, and please gamble responsibly. 18 plus, that sounded like specifically you could only be 18. That is not the case. So just to point out, having Tony Pollard in your team, even though he had a rough day, didn't stop you from performing in fantasy game day. Pollard is captain with 17.6, but it was Russ Wilson and Najee Harris, a great combination, along with Pat Freiermuth. So it was the Steelers guys who kind of did the damage, along with Lad McConkey, Bucky Irving, who's obviously you got him at a bag in a few weeks ago. You won't now. I think he's about £6,000 plus in the game, but he had another huge game. And a solid outings from Marvin Harrison Jr. and a little contribution from Ramondre Stevenson, and that got a beige 5687. They've not taken advantage of the feature on the app yet to change their name, or maybe they have, with 165.76 points. What did you make of the lineup?
Bold.
Yeah.
You go heavy on that Steelers, especially Pat Freiermuth, who's been getting outworked by Darnell Washington the last few weeks. But, you go bold, he who dares, Rodney, gets a big result. So, it's not a lineup I would have put together, but as you see here, we finished 217th. So that's a long way from first. So between the three of us, we tried putting our heads together. I made some controversial calls that didn't work out. Adnai Mitchell, 0 points.
You're banned from contributing next week.
Absolutely fine. I'll make my own lineup and we'll see how I get on just by myself.
We've been down this road.
We have, yeah. Maybe next week just get Chai to pick them out of a hat since he's not been doing the game picks. Although he's wearing a cone. So
just put him in his cone and then just let them out.
That might work, yeah. I won't be better than picking a treat because that really hasn't worked all season. I would never have picked this lineup, but you get Russell Wilson getting his season high 400 plus yards. Pat Freiermuth goes off with a touchdown and 60 odd yards, 6 receptions. Good for you because again, it's not a lineup I would have put together. Yeah.
Excellent, good stuff. Better luck next week for us. We finished 217th out of 200, I think 250, 260. And we got 100. We stumbled to 101.28. Better luck next time. Right, last but not least, Thursday night football. Packers Lions. Lions 3.5 point favorites. Over unders 51.5. Quick thoughts. Where are you leaning?
Probably Packers. Probably the under, but I'd rather bet on Packers than the under.
Joe?
Yeah, I think I'm leaning Packers as well, just with the injuries. But I might go the over, just because it's played in Detroit, and they both like to have big plays.
I'm thinking over as well. The 3.5 makes me think Packers, because I do think it'll be a close game, but the Lions did kill them in Green Bay a few weeks ago, didn't they? I don't know. We'll see. Plenty of time to think about it. Thanks for joining us. Good teams win, great teams cover. Follow Spotify. You'll be notified of new episodes when they drop. Hit us up on YouTube, Twitter /Instagram, X. I forgot Blue Sky, TikTok. When Charlie's out of his cone, we'll get him back picking some games. At GTW_GTC. And we'll be back on Friday for our week 14 preview.